Happy holidays, Fantasy Pros. My name is Andrew Erickson, aka The Props Prophet, and today I'm coming at you with my favorite player props for NFL Week 16. 12 days of Christmas means 12 player props for you. But before we look to build that bankroll, if you want a chance to win a premium one-year subscription to BettingPros, your place to start betting smarter and not harder. All you have to do is subscribe to the BettingPros YouTube channel right now, comment below in this video, and that is it. I'm announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Now, let's get to the best player props for NFL Week 16, starting with, of course, Derrick Henry, the big dog, going over 15.5 carries. Look, Derrick Henry is back at home and is notorious for steamrolling defenses in December. Over 5 career yards per carry in December for Derrick Henry, the highest mark in any month. He's 75 plus rushing yards in all but one of the Titans' home games this season. He also has 16 or more carries in all but one home game played this year. He's gone for 16 plus carries in 4 straight games. So against a bad Seahawks run defense, I expect Derrick Henry to get the rock. The Seahawks defense has allowed 68 plus rushing yards to the last 5 running backs that they have faced, like the over on Henry's carries and the over 64.5 rushing yards this week as well, taking on the Seahawks at home. In the exact same matchup, in the same game, the Seahawks side, Jackson Smith and Jigba over 40.5 receiving yards. I'm taking the overs on this rookie that's really broken out over the last couple weeks. The Titans are the 8th best matchup for slot receivers in terms of fantasy points allowed to the position. So I expect JSN to get peppered with targets. And he's been consistent over the last 7 games. Over 40 plus yards in 6 of his last 7 games played. Go over on the rookie in Week 16. Another wide receiver over I really like. Amari Cooper over 57.5 receiving yards. Look, he's gone for 70-plus receiving yards in 2 of Joe Flacco's 3 starts, including 2 straight. He's averaging well over 11 yards per reception with his elite quarterback under center. And he's going to take on the Texans' defense that has allowed the last 10 number 1 wide receivers that they have faced to go over their projected receiving yards total. Cooper's averaging 70 yards per game this season. I think this number is just too low given the matchup in the Dome and Joe Flacco and his elite status. A quarterback that I don't think is going to be elite this week, though, Jordan Love, under 232.5 passing yards. Taking on the Carolina Panthers on the road, I'm going under here. Look, he's gone under 4 of his last 7 road games this year. It's going to be a tougher matchup for him, who he also may be without Christian Watson or Jaden Reed, who also could be limited if they even end up playing in this matchup. Carolina is a run funnel defense. They have an underrated secondary. 12 of the last 13 quarterbacks that they have faced have finished under their passing yards projection when facing the Panthers. The last 10 have all finished under. Fade the Packers passing game on the road this week. And that means we're going to be pairing some player props on the Green Bay side as well. Tucker Kraft, under 3.5 receptions. You can get this at plus money at several different sports books. Panthers defense has been elite versus tight ends this year, allowing the second fewest catches to tight ends this season. 9 of the last 11 tight ends Carolina has faced has gone under their projected receptions total. Also, they've allowed the fewest fantasy points to tight ends aligned in the slot. So Tucker Kraft's going to be a tough option to trust this week in both props and fantasy, unless you are in on the unders. Andrew Anderson strikes again. James Conner, under 53.5 rushing yards. The Bears have one of the league's best run defenses, ranking top 5 in fewest yards per carry allowed this season. Conner is going to struggle versus the Bears because there are no run defense. Other than the Lions running backs, no running back has rushed for 60 yards against the Bears defense since week 4. I know James Conner went over his rushing prop last week against a fierce 49ers defense, but half his yardage came on a 44-yard burst in the second half. In the first half, he was sitting on 27 yards on 10 carries, 2.7 yards per carry. And he played in a 3-way committee with Michael Carter and Amari Mercado, as he only played 49% of the snaps. If they are trailing in this game, we're not even going to see James Conner on the field to get rushing yards. Same game, other side, the over on Deontay Foreman, over 37.5 rushing yards. Look, the Bears are going to be able to run all over the Arizona Cardinals defense that ranks 31st in rushing yards allowed per game to running backs this season. Deontay Foreman got the start last week. I know that he had -6 rushing yards, and that's bad. But he still led the backfield with 6 carries. He saw the 2 red zone carries as well. But part of the reason he had such negative yardage was because he was getting touches at the goal line, which a lot of times result in negative yardage if there's nothing there. So that's kind of why he was so bad in terms of his total stat line. He only played 26% of the snaps, and the Bears were trailing. But he still led the team in first half carries with 4. And Roschon Johnson, even though he led the team in snaps, he was the last running back to actually see a touch behind both Deontay Foreman and Khalil Herbert. So the matchup is just so good. I think Deontay Foreman is going to be the RB1 for the Bears this week. One running back from every team the Cardinals have faced this year, every single one has gone for at least 40 rushing yards. With Foreman the likeliest candidate to spearhead the backfield as the number one guy, I just love him at this discounted number. It's just too low, even though given what we saw last week. Another over I like at running back, Raheem Mostert, over 57.5 rushing yards taken on the Dallas Cowboys. Look, we saw the Dallas Cowboys run defense get exposed last week, so I would expect Miami to dial up a very similar rushing attack to take care of business against Dallas with Mostert and Devon Achane at the forefront of the rushing attack. Mostert's been the RB1 in this backfield, even when both guys have been healthy. So I think the number is just way too low. He's rushed for 60-plus yards in 5 of 7 home games this season, and Dallas ranks 5th worst in rushing yards allowed per game on the road. This team's not as good on the road as it is at home. We're going to see that on game day with Raheem Mostert running wild against the Dallas Cowboys. A running back that we will not see run wild this week, though, is Javante Williams, under 55.5 rushing yards. The Patriots are the number 1 defense versus the run, allowing just 3.3 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Take the under on Broncos running back rushing props. Williams' line opened at 55.5 rushing yards. He's got under this mark in 3 of his last 5 games. And the Patriots haven't allowed a running back to hit 55 rushing yards since week 10. In the last 4 games, they've allowed an average of just 43.5 rushing yards to all teams' running backs. Another running back that I'm a little lukewarm on this week, Isaiah Pacheco, under 64.5 rushing yards. He was coming back from an injury, and I'm just concerned about what the workload is going to be like for Isaiah Pacheco. Even though it is against the Raiders, it is a plus matchup. I don't necessarily think that this is a game where he's going to go absolutely crazy. Again, he's coming off minor shoulder surgery. So I don't expect him to come out here and have a monster game where he's touching the ball 15, 16, 17 times. So I do like the under on his rushing attempts at 14.5, but I also like the under on his rushing yardage. Again, he's only been over 64.5 rushing yards in 2 of his last 8 games, despite being the Chiefs' RB1. And because we've seen good performances from Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon in the last couple of weeks, we could see more of a committee approach here. So I like the under on Isaiah Pacheco. And even the last time he faced the Raiders, when he got a big workload, he only had 55 rushing yards. So I would just temper expectations just a little bit with Pacheco coming off an injury, with the other Chiefs running backs playing at least decent in that backfield, even if the matchup is positive. Going into Christmas night, Lamar Jackson, over 19.5 completions. This is one's at plus money odds at many sports books. Look, the 49ers have allowed the 2nd most completions this season to quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson ranks 11th in the NFL completion rate, 66%, averaging 19 completions per game. So basically, you're just getting this number at his average, despite the matchup saying, hey, this is an above average matchup for Lamar Jackson to have a lot of completions. The last 3 quarterbacks the 49ers have faced have completed 22 or more of their pass attempts. The prop is the number 1 plus EV player prop in the BettingPros prop bet cheat sheet for NFL Week 16. So if you would like this prop, go check out the cheat sheet for more player props that you can find with their plus EV values. Lamar Jackson, they love it here. Last week, they loved the Bryce Young one. That came in the clutch. So we're going to follow and tail the prop bet cheat sheet with Lamar Jackson. Same game, last prop here. George Kittle under 3.5 receptions at plus money again. Look, Baltimore's allowed over to an opposing tight end in 5 of the last 7 games. But that's in terms of yardage. And that's what George Kittle does. George Kittle puts up big yardage totals, but he doesn't get necessarily a lot of targets or a lot of receptions when he's seeing the ball. Look, he has 3.5 or more receptions in just 2 games played this season alongside a healthy Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. So for me, I'm just going to continue to pound the under on George Kittle and his receptions props because he's the 4th guy in the target pecking order. They feed McCaffrey, they feed Deebo, they feed Ayuk. They don't necessarily feed George Kittle. And if he's matching up with Kyle Hamilton, could be a tough day at the office for George Kittle to get to 4 receptions. So as long as it's at plus money, I'm going to keep hammering the under on George Kittle. And that's going to tie a bow on my favorite player props for NFL Week 16. 12 days of Christmas means 12 player props for everybody. Again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, share with all your friends, and be sure to follow me over on the BettingPros app. Check out all my bets. You can tail them, you can fade them, you can do what you think is right. And again, but before you go, be sure to check out my Prize Picks video that's on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel for even more props. Check out the BettingPros prop bet cheat sheet as well on bettingpros.com, also on the app, to find more player props. And again, lastly, before you go, If you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, your place to start betting smarter, not harder. All you have to do is subscribe to Betting Pros YouTube channel right now, comment below this video, and that is it. Announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Thanks for watching, and good luck in NFL Week 16. Happy holidays.